Olá, bem-vindos ao Círculo do Innovation for the Future. We go in English from now on. This is us today, and my proposal is for us to go to a check-in. Are you okay with this, Barbara? Yeah. And I go first. I arrived with this sense of joy. I have listened to the recording of the last circle, and it touched me, some of the sharings, and also it touched me that the circle happened without Marco. That was really a really important thing to me, and I'm glad about that. And I also, this week, I had two profound experience connecting with innovations for the future. One in Biovilla, a retreat with near 30 young people, 16 years old, for 3 days, for them to experiment what is to be in a responsible and regenerative culture, and was really amazing. And yeah, it was a partnership between the work that I'm doing with Gilles and Biovilla. We call PM plus RD Consultancy, and Biovilla, and was really amazing to see what happened, and seeing young people using sociocracy methods to govern themselves during that 3 days, and speaking with feelings and giving feedback and coaching and listening and this kind of stuff was really amazing. And at the same time, going to the gardener and planting stuff and doing the work in the kitchen, that was really an experience. And that was one, and that allowed me to connect with the Biovilla in Palmel in Serra da Raibra with a completely different context and the surrounding, and like doing this regenerative development approach with a completely different mindset. That was a very interesting experience. And also I have been in the opportunity to meet another project that's called Cerdeira, Home for Creativity, and what they are building, Silvera Tech. It's they are recovering whole village, Aldeias de Xisto. I don't know how to say this in English. They are recovering from stretch. It's a work they have been doing for the last 20 years. And it was really an amazing project that touched me in so many fields. And I was with them in the mountains, walking, see the plans and see what they already have done. And it really touched me to see that, so many joy and so many passion, and so many people. And it's a family that is doing that, a man, a woman, and the 3 kids. They are adults, all adults now. It's a family thing. It's really amazing. And I arrived at with this joy that this is mainly what is alive in me. Also, my children come today, and I'm missing them. Yeah, this is. I have tomorrow a very beautiful day also in Biovilla planned, and I'm with fear of that, and at the same time open to go in this journey with friends and experimenting new stuff together, exploring the edges of the modern culture. And that is also in my system, this fear and this joy. It's me arriving. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can share also. Listen to you, Marco. I feel my heart beating. And in another way, for me, these last days, it's a intern and more like intern, how to say it? Journey, yes. And also the night is with me. When you start talking about these places, some I also know them, the places, but I've connected with the night and the stars, and that's my journey now. I'm very going inside myself. This is the journey for me, and also in a small scale here at my home with the ones that I love. And yeah, and it's beautiful to see the difference and the joy also for me that this journey brings to me, and also connecting with the stars and what I can find there. Really, it's a treasure. It's not one thing or another, it's both. And now this is my story. Yeah, and at the same time, putting myself in this kind of places and sharing, it's also is my third, I think, my third circle here, and it's also joyful, really, to step in and to go out of my border, something like this. And yeah, I feel joy also to be here and stepping in. Yeah, that's me now. Thank you.
Thank you, Barak.
Yeah, then I can go. I feel I have more energy and I feel refreshed compared to the last few weeks. I think last week I shared that it was just really stagnated feeling in my belly, and last few days I noticed, practical. I could go easy to the toilet again, so that feels really good. Very simple. And I feel I have more energy again to just go cycling and go walking. It's still kind of building up, and I'm also sometimes I contemplate on what's next and what to do. So then I listen to the Tao Te Ching, or I was actually took this I Ching reading. I had an app on the phone, and then there was this reading about a commander who was just contemplating if it was a good plan to go to war, and yeah, he would probably need some wise partners, some good partners, and I feel I'm very much in that state, and I'm not really into the kind of the war metaphor. And then I connected to Marco's story. I was thinking, what position would I put myself in this kind of stormy circumstances? And I was thinking about a lighthouse. There's the closest one is I think north of Sambujeera. But whether you stay on the cliffs or on the lighthouse, lighthouse is a nice story. Then you can also just see higher what's going on in the world. And that somehow that really inspired me also to share from that perspective and see what's coming, see what's behind, and at the same time, very practical. It's January, now February. Just nicely put a warm fire so you're safe in your own lighthouse, and you just see what's going on. And I feel very much that I'm there at the moment, and then slowly things will start falling into place in divine timing and not my timing. That's me. Oh yeah, and I'm making a magic stick, so I can use it as a talking stick. I've been watching some Harry Potter movies, and I put the background. I get rid of the background, and it's easy to see. But I got a stick, and and somehow yesterday I started working on it. So probably also to remind me, that to take things lightly. It's not kind of a magic stick. I'm a magician and I can do these kind of miracles that you see in movies, but more like the lightness of being that I'm just a kid, I'm just a fool, and we all do our best. So that's me. Thank you.
Thank you, Thierry. Thank you. Inspired by this week that I have, I'd like to share some of my experience and learnings, and also see what if you have experience in these fields, and maybe connect with some of the projects or things that are happening in innovation. Are you available to go with me in this journey?
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah. I can start with in the experiment in the Biovilla with the retreat, this 3-day retreat with young people. For me, it happened a very interesting thing. I was confronted with the limitations of the school model and the pressure that the modern culture puts in these young people around this age, to have good grades, to be quiet, to be silent. I really felt all of that in the space, and that brought me sadness and some anger. And at the same time, I saw how the things that I knew, the dynamics, the content, and all of that doesn't work with these ages. They have a completely different approach to the things. And what I know from this last 20 years of facilitating and holding space for adults doesn't work with them. It's a completely different thing. And I was very liquid after my first session. It landed in me that the work that we have been prepared for them will not work, and we start jumping to the high sea and experimenting completely different things with them. That was a huge learning for me. I had some pointers regarding with this, because when I interview Maria from Between, they also work with these ages in schools and in the neighborhoods, and they already talk about that, something about that. And I also know that the guys in Valdelama, they have a program for these ages that's called New Opportunities, Novas Oportunidades, for 10 years or more. And I had some bites that a thing like this could be happen. And now I have this experience, and that's really challenging yeah, I was using possibility managed language. I was really outside of the edges of my box, and how my structure really shake it with that. And when I talk with a friend that he is doing biodanza, and he's experimenting to do biodanza with families and children, and he also told me something like this, like, yeah, I have that experience. We are experienced with biodanza for young people, and biodanza was designed for adults, and that is not working with that. We don't know what needs to be changed and done, but that is not working with that. And yeah, I have this sensation that I really tapped in something that is a blind spot in the culture, and in this transition for the modern culture and whatever is the next culture. And I have this sensation. I'm starting to work with schools and with people that are working in education. Myself, I don't have experience in education, but I have in adult dimension, but not in for people less than 18 years old. And I was really puzzled with this experience and what put me in the table, what put there in the table. I also shared here in some circles ago that I have this anger about what I'm seeing in the schools. Some children close the schools and say, hey, adults, you are not doing what needs to be done, and this kind of stuff. And I have a completely different experience now around that. And I'm seeing this. I'm seeing that there is something here for these ages, for people that are around 12, 13 to until 18, maybe more, that they already are seeing what is happening. And they are seeing that the things are not happening, and that anger is staying inside, are putting inside. And I connect with that. I connect with that this weekend with this group. And was really, really a very challenging experience for me, maybe one of the most difficult that I have in my adult life. And a very, very high opener and learning experience for myself. Yeah, I'd like to listen from you if you have, if you know stories about this, if you already listened something around with others. What do you know about that? I also know that I remember when we did the learning and sensing journey to Tamera, that the guys there speak, the people there, not only the guys, but the people there speak about, yeah, this challenging with the youth. And when some of them came to Tamera without being there from children, from young children, but they arrived at these ages with the kind of challenges that they already have. And I'm seeing that there is something there. There is a pattern here that for me was completely blind, and it in this last weekend it suddenly has a very strong light in the top. Yeah, there is something here, and it's me, and I'd like to listen from you. What stay alives in you? What is the experience you have? What kind of projects or experience you hear about to bring that to the table, and maybe highlight for others also this thing. Thank you.
Marco, I would like to understand a little bit more about what more specific, what happened, something that you can bring some story that you can tell about.
Yeah, the kind of dynamics, like when we are working with this constructivist perspective and dialogic perspective, you use a lot of the circle, the dyads, the tree, the groups of four, this kind of stuff. And for them, this is classroom. They have some experience of circle, but they have the experience of circle in the context of school, meaning when they are in circle, they are in school. And when they are in dyads, they are in school. They continue to have the construct of school with that kind of structures. And that was really puzzling me. And the mindset, what they bring to the space is a school construct. And it was very hard to open the door of the construct and bring them to the outside. And exploring new stuff. And we start doing that with when we close the program that we had, and we start making questions, like we arrive to the space and say, what you want to do now? And a cow's starting in a room, and you hold the space for the cows. Say, okay, I'm seeing that you are upset, you are either, okay, what you want to do now? And what is alive in the group that you want to deal with? And this kind of questions start opening a completely different approach, because usually they are the pattern is an adult comes to the place and say what they need to do. And we change that when an adult comes to the place, sits them and say, yeah, please tell me what you want to do. And but for them to be in a circle and in dyads and triads and in groups of 4, it's to be in the classroom, it's to be in the school, it's to be in class. And that puzzled me, Reed. And the agitation in the room is very tangible, very, the tension was there. And all the stuff, like we had we handwrite all the stuff. We don't use slides and this kind of stuff. We handwrite all, and we have very beautiful maps with simple message and a lot of practices, this kind of stuff. And for them, this is classes. And we say, whoa, I work a lot with mimetic engineering, where is the MEMS that are operating in ourselves in several domains, communication and feelings, whatever. That means that we have very clean stuff, like it's okay to feel, or it's not okay to feel. This is a meme. If I have this meme inside me, I have a different behavior. If the meme that I have, it's okay to feel. Or if the meme I have, it's not okay to feel, like it's not okay to feel anger. It means that I will repress anger and I will do a lot for my anger not to show up. But if I have the meme of it's okay to express anger, I have a completely different. And we work with this very simple instructions, these memes, and we practice this kind of stuff. The maps are very clean and don't have a lot of information. It's very simple in this appearance, and the experience is very deep. And for them, because this happening in closed spaces and it's a schools thing. That is a concrete example of what is the mindset that is there, and the needs, the shift that needs to be done. Like in adults, this kind of stuff is completely outside of the modern culture. And it's mind-blowing for the adult in the context. They are not used to work in circle, in dyads and triads and this kind of stuff. But for these young people, they already do that, like in groups, in small groups, and it's classroom thing. It's not a thing of creating something new, of empower. They don't feel empowered in using that kind of practice and instruments. And that was a big disconstruction for me. It was tapete puxado dos pés, a carpet that was pulled out of my yeah. Thank you for the question.
I have one more question, Mark.
Oh.
Did you start explaining and then you put first things on the walls, explaining what you were going to do?
No. We start with visiting the Palmela Castle, and after with a very sensing journey to Biovilla and what surroundings. We and open space in outside for people making questions and have this kind. We break all the walls between or we try to break the walls between what they are used in school and what happened there, and we have different approaches to bring information to the table. And as soon as they arrive to a room, to a classroom, to a space, a closed space, the class mimetic structure really jump in, and it doesn't matter what you do there. You are in classroom. You are in classroom, and they are a class. They are everyone. They meet everyone. They are all days together. They have that was there. Oh, was really challenging to change that approach and mindset.
Wow.
And we are receiving a lot of interesting feedbacks, mainly from the teacher that organized this, and what happened in the school this last week. And we don't have yet feedback from the families and from the rest of the school. We are seeing what happened after that experience, and we know that something changed in the class, and it's not clear what. It was really, really interesting experience for me. Did you have something in your experience, Barbara, connected with this, or do you know stories about other projects that have this kind of stuff?
Well, yeah, I have some of my stories, yes, but it's not, I haven't done something that was so longer. So I've been, for instance, in a school like Antonio Royo, and we brought their design thinking practices. I don't know, maybe, I think it is, yes, it's in these ages that you were talking about. But this is very small practice. It's just, well, 2 hours or something like this. And so I think it's a little bit different because it was some years ago. So I have this feeling. And well, it was disruptive for them, but they were open to it. But of course, this is a school that is already a little bit disruptive. And the teachers were there, and the teachers that, the difference here, it was the teachers act like they don't connect really to the experience, and they act like this is time for play, something like this. They don't take it so seriously. So this is my experience in this school. But now I have done, after the COVID time, or during, something like this, in the middle, in another school. BGA, the name, BGA. So it's also a different kind of school. And I brought there, and I went there with my daughter that is already have 23 years old. And I've done also this kind of practice, sharing NVC. And I also bring this kind of, I just working in circle. And I also practice, I try different approaches, just talking all together, and also diets. And I have also this, it was a different experience. I also felt this energy, this kind of energy of moving, not so, I don't know, I felt this energy, but at the same time, they could connect and really enjoy the process. But again, it was just 2 hours and a half. It was not a long period. I didn't bring, well, it just, and I think for some of them, they connected really. And the feedback I have, it is mainly not so much about the practice that I brought, but mainly what they share in the end. It was good to connect and to be with others and to really listen for the stories from others, colleagues that didn't know before. Like this, they are every day together, but they didn't know, and to share the feelings and so on. So this is my stories that I can bring. Yeah.
Thank you, Parva. When you said BGI, it's the Brave Generation Academy. It's that school. And when you say NV, it's nonviolent communication.
NVC. Yeah.
NVC, yes, okay. But I can put some links also about that. Design thinking, nonviolent communication, regeneration academy.
Sorry, I didn't understand what you said.
I can put some links in the description of
Okay.
of this recording with that. Yeah, thank you. And Antonio Royo is one of the schools that closed, and that the young people closed and came to the street and expressing the anger. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just saying something about this Antonio Royo, but the director of the Antonio Royo was okay with that.
Yes. It's one of the guys that didn't call the police and stay with them.
I read in the newspaper about this and what he says, and he stays with the young.
Yeah.
The youngest.
I also felt that urge to go to and stay with them and to join with them because they are speaking. The voice, what they are saying is very important.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Thank you, Barbara. Thierry.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah. First of all, I'm not a father, so in that sense, I don't have a specific perspective. But a few observations. Last year, when we were closing off the ULab, there was an interview with a young girl from Izmir in Turkey, 12 years old, and she was a visionary, and they asked her, okay, what's your interest? She said, we're a generation like we have to build something for the future. So how can we do something practical? She heard as many young kids also the news what was going on in the world. So it's kind of a positive example, but okay, most are not there. I see another example. The son from the host here where I live. He's 11, and for the last 3 weeks he was sick at home, and he had pain in his belly. I had the same pain, so I was talking to his father and said, I think he's just being born as a visionary, but in the meantime it's just painful process, and often that's the third observation. Last few days I've started to look at the program from Merlin the Magician, and since I like to watch fairy tales, it's one of the tips I got from Einstein. And this young Merlin, he also, he had to learn these things. And then at some stage there was this in the movie they show this. He goes into a cave and he talks to a dragon, a very friendly dragon. But I think in reality, what that means is that this dragon is inside. It's like this kind of the demon inside, the pain inside that wants to be heard. And I think that's very much what's happening with this generation. They don't know what to do with it. They're being born. They somehow they have to mature, and you have to go through like these pains. What I experience myself if I go inside, it's basically like the body is just a history book, all these family traumas and all kind of stuff that happened before. And that connects to the third observation. Some years ago in Amsterdam, they had big problems, mostly with youth from Morocco. And what happens there that relating to these mimetic patterns, spiral dynamics, the parents, and I think that might be one of the things also going on in Portugal. The parents, they came from Morocco, and basically it's kind of a very traditional culture. I mean, I've been there a couple of times. It's just like you were stepping back into the Middle Ages. And then children go to school. They walk around in Amsterdam, and they don't know how to. They reject the authority from the parents. They go in the streets a totally different culture there with what they've been taught with the schools. So a lot of them end up in like small criminal activities, and it's very difficult to deal with them. Some friends of mine did trainings with the police around power dynamics to give them any kind of understanding of the mindset of these kids. But still, it's kind of a very frustrated young generation. And that comes to the last observation I had in the last half year with, say, young, the people are a bit older, but it's kind of the surf generation. Some people stayed next to me in these houses. They accept absolutely no authority, and they just do what they like. Basically, that's the kind of mindset where you start with. And I think for me the only solution is just get them back to their core. And I'm not there, but I think it's a challenge if you want to do any kind of facilitation with them, to get them back to their power and not rebel, not reject anything like that. So that's where I am. And for me personally, the last observation is, I just notice I'm just going more and more inward and just losing my agenda, because that is also what I see we're still doing. All of us, we're a man or a woman with a plan, and then you're vulnerable. And only if you're just totally empty, you have all those tools in your backpack, I think then you can make sense of it and create a new culture, because that's basically what we're up to. Thank you.
Thank you, Thierry. I have a calling for the people that are listening to this recording. If you work with these ages between maybe 12 to 18, if you have this kind of experience, if you are noticing that something needs to change in the way we relate with this ages, please record something and put in the group for all of us, because I think this is it's a very hot topic. Something is here. For me, it was the first time that I step in this topic. And yeah, it's very alive, and there is something here. And I remember when you were sharing, Thierry, I remember this sentence from José Pacheco, with an educator, a Portuguese educator that is creating and supporting different pedagogical models in Portugal and also in Brazil. He has this sentence that say, I have a long career as a teacher and as a school director and a father, and I connect with thousands of children and young men, and I saw trouble parents, I saw trouble teachers, I saw trouble school directors, but I never saw a troubled child or young people. And that is, I'm feeling the emotion coming. That is really resonating with me a lot. And I had an experience of that when I really connect with. One of them said near the end of the experience, say, Marco, I know why you are doing this. You want to empower us, but the things outside of this room, it doesn't work this way. And I had, yeah, that was so very true and sad to hear about that.
Can I say one thing about it?
Wait, Thierry. Yeah, it was really sad to listen that from that young man. And yeah, I think there is something here. And please, if you have some experience, please bring to the table. Yes, Thierry, please go.
Now, what might be one of the things is last week I mentioned somehow I had to think about the Portuguese Revolution 50 years ago, and I watched this. It was a very interesting movie that I watched about it. But what I read around that time, and for me that was kind of new information some years ago, is that 50 years ago, especially in the countryside, 50% of the men couldn't read or write, 90% of the women couldn't read or write. And then you talk about 1960, 1970. So it's a huge difference. Then probably, I don't know all the details, but everywhere I see these same primary schools. So I guess that around that time they started building schools. And what I heard is from the city, there was a whole movement of teachers trying to educate the people and the countryside. But somehow I think what happens in general, we never really integrate our past traumas. And basically what in the 19th century, I think there was one queen that she at that stage Portugal was very modern, but she just skipped a lot of education to just keep the people stupid and simple. So I think that underlying there's kind of this trauma that makes it very difficult. So it's the whole education system, whatever it is not really grounded and founded on healthy soil. So I think somehow maybe with social processing theater or something like that, you can get much more clarity what's really going on. But I definitely think that there's a big issue here.
We have more 11 minutes. Maybe you can go for another round and close the space as the last round as a checkout and final remarks.
You'll also hear this part of me is like shaking, something like this. I'm between sadness and anger too, hearing you saying this, Marco. And we talk so much about schools and I can see, as I see it, the question is much more about connection and relationship. Is not just the school, really. And it's not just the school, it's the mindset. Really. And I think it was, and is related with this disconnection. Yeah. And I feel this anger too. The other day I was listening to the Prime Minister of Portugal, And the way he was speaking, and also all the others guys in all the politicians, I was looking at them, and my question is, but we're still looking for the same approach. We are doing the same. We are discussing small things, not the big questions. Yeah, I think the anger here means that want to step in and yeah, I have this feeling of to be much more like activist, but at the same time, I think my work is to bring connection, to bring proximity, to connect with myself and with my heart, and from there bring things to the world. Yeah. That's me now. I'm a little bit shaky. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
I'm personally, if I can share, also in a place where I don't know exactly where to move next. I feel the tension, and at the same time, I'm just sitting quietly here in the forest. I can just sneak without anybody seeing me to the ocean. And then I really feel like for these children, I feel also great compassion. Like I know from my sister-in-law that she's a teacher, also for notice for the primary school. But basically, the last 2 years, for 2 years, these kids had been sitting all day with a mask on their face. I think that that's part of kind of a recent trauma, where many just hear in alternative media. I don't know how it's in Portugal, that it's just something totally different going on. So just can you imagine what kind of tension and repressed aggression is building up? It's immense. And what I pick up from the trend watch is that from this year on, you will see much more that's coming out in the streets. And then coming back to my own position, just I've been one time to a protest, and it was about that everybody who lived in the Netherlands had the right to be there. And for the rest, I'm more like an empty heart and work from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Thierry. Thank you, Barbara. I was connecting as final remarks. I was connecting with what Otto Schammer say about the acupuncture points. The education and leadership needs is one of the acupuncture points, and particularly the empowering of youth. I was very connecting with that. That I maybe for the first time I had a very strong experience about this need and how urgent is this need for something to unfold in this system, in this deeper level of the system. I'm seeing a lot of people working in younger ages, and I don't know so many projects working in this teens context. I'm seeing several projects around the adult context, and something is it maybe be missing in this transition thing here around. That for sure is one of the pains in the social divide thing. That's what it talks about. And for the first time I tap in that. There is another remark that I like to do is about the Cerdeira and what I saw in Cerdeira. I will bring that to another circle. There is some needs and some very interesting learnings that I already did that with a completely different context from the education mindset. And at the same time, it has some connection, has some bridge in that, but in the adult realm. It's also connected with education and leadership thing, and I'm noticing that. And I'm really puzzled in the sense of where is in the space for me, what I'm calling for. When I was with João Semedo, I had several calls around the education, and I say no. You are an educator, you are working in education, and I say no, I'm not. So I'm in this context and that context. And that is happening again. I'm receiving invitations and people calling me educator, and now I'm saying yes and see what happened. And one of what happens was this experience, and others will come in the near future. And I'm really puzzled and open to see what is arriving to my plate and what is my role here. What is Gaia and Echo and Universe, whatever is the name we want to put it, is putting in my way or is designing my way, and I'm really puzzled around it. Yeah, there is a sense of fear and anger with this conversation and with this puzzled thing, and also some joy, in the sense that it's like I'm being called for an evolution of myself, or finding a new something in me. Something is unfolding in me, or is being challenging for something to unfold. Maybe it's a new learning turn in the spiral of life. Thank you for going with me in this exploration, and really help me to tap in this feelings and in this experience that I have. See you in the next circle. Até já.
Até já. Obrigada.